In the movie Breakfast at Tiffany's, Audrey Hepburn says, "Why do they call it Sing Sing Prison? It sounds like you're going to the opera." I make a joke of why do so many prisoners wish to go to Sing Sing Prison? And then people ask why. I say, free vocal lessons, which would also explain all the tattooed, buff male opera singers. My coworkers either laughed or groaned at that one. But lo and behold, it led to opera by Dario Argento. When young opera singer Betty, Christina Marszalek, Every Time We Say Goodbye, takes over the leading role in an avant-garde production of Verdi's Macbeth. She triggers the madness of a crazed fan who repeatedly forces her to watch the brutal murders of her friends. Will her recurring childhood nightmare hold the key to the identity of the psychopath, or does she have even more horrific evil lay on her wings? Legendary horror master Argento, Deep Red, Suspiria, Inferno, Tenebrae, delivers a savagely stunning thriller featuring some of the most shocking sequences of the maestro's entire career. Also starring Ian Charleston, Chariots of Fire, Umberto Barbeni of Demons, Daria Nicolodi, Shock, Deep Red, and William McNamara of Copycat. This dazzling masterpiece soars to untold heights of terror with a brand new 2K scan. Scorpion releases a truly fantastic version of this. I mean, yes, there is indeed opera involved, but it takes into the question this movie is just so freaking great. It's like, okay, well, here's what it's like: a beautifully filmed operatic movie, but also at the same time, it got some horror movie tendencies. It's a particular disturbance. You're wondering about these little needles right here? Well, let's just say this is used to keep Betty's eyes open while she's watching at least 2 to 3 people pretty much just getting eliminated in such a way. It's gruesome. I mean, we get the first person sequences of what's going on while the person is getting beaten. Yeah, getting beaten and everything else. It's painful to watch. It's just not pretty, you know. There's also the horror movie aspects. Yes, you're going to have you're going to have some blood. Yes, you're going to have some suspense and buildup, but here it pays off perfectly. This movie is, you could call it classical. Yeah. Let's see. An intense performance with high notes being hit, a falsetto of epic magnitudes, a story unfolding that truly develops between the paranoia and what is reality and fiction, and the backstage struggles that our heroine has to traverse and try and determine who is truly stalking her for whatever reason. Yes, just like that. Yes. I think that, but there's also more. The camera movement. The camera makes us feel once both trapped, forced to bear witness to it. Just an absolute, both as a way of us and the audience watching it, and Betty being the audience surrogate, the one who is having to explain as if we are the ones who are being not necessarily tormented, but we're being forced to watch our own, how we enjoy horror and how we subvert it. It's like we get some really sadistic pleasure from it. It's like we get to see all the violent stuff happening, and do we take this as an example of humanity's way of, like, is this supposed to be released, or is it what happens when you blur fiction and reality and creating a truly bizarre way of how we're doing it? I mean, some of the more innovative tricks that you get here is when our heroine is starting to really feel the pressure. We get to see like an image of a brain is starting to like pulsate and everything, like it's really, really effing with her. And I think like some other, not psychedelic imagery, but just how it's making her feel like absolutely very uncomfortable. and we get we get like the first person shot of the killer, like going like we get a nice camera shot of everyone directing about what's going on, because we have the characters who are like subverting everything. We have the self-obsessed. We have the older opera star. We have the director who's self-obsessed, trying to make everything work, and the camera's just going around. Even gets behind the bars as if to indicate that that person is stuck, or Betty herself is stuck, or we are. I couldn't. It's up to you to determine it. Which I thought was a very clever way of doing it. It's like the camera itself is like also acts into the frenzy. Like when we get a moment when she's trying to escape into it in air conditioning, it twists just like this, as if like she's returning back to reality, like going through the air conditioning ducts when she meets a little girl who kind of saves her. So I'm like, yes, I want more of this. And you're one, yeah. And you have these pins right here. We'll get to that in a minute. It's Argento's way of himself saying like that. He is commenting on how horror has gone from being a reflection of society, and just engaging more in cheap thrills without it having any substance. Almost like saying that the opera itself is like one of the last vestiges of classical society. Intelligent, smart hobbies or whatever, if thou'st will. And there's even it's like, and then when you have some ravens coming, maybe that's or really crows. A reference like the quote, "The Raven Nevermore." I didn't understand what they were for, but there was also the way of maybe the biller trying to get Betty, and of course, what's ultimately revealed is, and again, spoilers for a 38-year-old movie you've never heard of, is that this one police detective, I think, or whatever, was obsessed with Betty's mother, because she has a recurring dream of her mother being caught or whatever, and she was very sexually active with a man. The mother did not want to give in to the sexual demands of Salvini, I think his name was. So she got killed, and now he's taking it on the next generation, the next person, the daughter. So he's the obsessive fan of what happens when you take it too far. And it's like, yeah. Even willing to go so far as to kidnap her and stage his own death, which was absolutely intense, an intense, fiery scene. I'm like, God damn, So, ultimately, the guy does get captured, and ends with a lizard being free, which was interesting to see. But it's like this movie was it's also like when she's returning to the opera house, there's like a bunch of red velvet curtains, not blue velvet, David Lynch, but red, as if to signify that this is like a little more, because red is an angry color, all the emotions running around and everything. That's just what I noticed. So I don't know. Am I sounding pretentious? Who knows? And again, I could be right. I could be more wrong. But yeah. The actual eye, like, poker, the actual, like, eye needle thing is that Argento was tired of having people turn away from his film, so he suggested having, like, this little implant feel, like, right here, not, like, in the actual eyeball itself, but close, just to keep a person awake, like, kind of like this. Which I'm trying right now. It's like, yeah, this would be bloody scary, Ooh. So, it's just so intense. It's like, yeah. He said this way that the audience would be truly kept the F awake, and not just have to, instead of looking away at nowadays what would be their cell phones or iPads or anything else, So that's also kind of a meta-narrative concept on that. Argento said in his book that, what was her name? Christina Marshallock was the most difficult actor or actress that he ever worked with. I was curious and asked more like how she approached her character of being a little bit more psychological compared to how Argento wanted them, but they both had a respect for one another because of the nature and gravitas of the film and, in a way, opera. So even though it's like they respected each other, but she's like, I'm not working with you again, but I respect you. So who would be the more difficult one, her or probably Anthony from Tenebrae? That'd be interesting. That would be interesting to see. So ultimately, this movie is not for everyone. It's like, yes, it actually has some heavy metal music from a band called Gao, also known as Steelgrave, that was used during the lengthy, intense killing. So it's like it was just interesting, but also it may turn off some people. Those who are expecting kind of like a great ending, it did feel a little weak, which I'm just like, what can you say from that? It's like the last 10 minutes is just more of a cool down, I guess, after the intensity and the literal fire that effing happened. So I didn't have a problem with it. Some people may. So ultimately, in my opinion, I think that Opera is definitely better than the god awful Phantom of the Opera movie. This one I feel is like it's underrated. It's like just perfectly rated, and that you may get enjoyment from it. You may not. I did, but if you want to see something that's got a meta narrative about questioning about how we view violence and how it how like we're so far into it that we can start to loot like can't tell the difference between fiction and reality. Meaning that's even what happens with Betty's eyes, where she has very bad eyesight because of what happened with the needles right here. That also again could be symbolic or a part of it. But yeah, ultimately, I do highly recommend that you give Opera a watch.